Hello, hello. Welcome to a new reading vlog. It's now Monday, April 17th. No big plans for this week. I'm just trying to read as much as I can. I'm still working on the backlist book of the month readathon that's going on in April, hosted by Sips and Spines over on Instagram. But this morning I did start reading The Wife Upstairs by Rachel Hawkins. This is my third Rachel Hawkins read. So far it's okay. This book is about Jane. She's a poor kleptomaniac that starts dog walking in this really high-scale gated community in Birmingham, Alabama. And when I say she's a klepto, she is definitely a klepto. When she's in the houses of her clients, she'll take things. They're things that she can sell at a pawn shop to pay her rent. And one day when she's walking one of the dogs, she nearly gets run over by Eddie, who's a recently widowed man living in the community. And plain old Jane, who has literally nothing to offer and is, by her own definition, a very plain-looking individual, somehow woos this extremely rich man into proposing to her within a 3-month span. And there are parts of this that are actually kind of really reminding me of, what is it called? Because I really liked it, but it's got the Southern vibe, because I think the book I'm thinking of takes place in Georgia. One of Us is Dead by Geneva Rose. So this book is giving me that vibe a little bit, because one of the characters in One of Us is Dead, it's a younger woman that meets and falls in love with and eventually marries this successful guy. And it takes place in the South, and it's very well-to-do, high-scale kind of community. So I'm getting that vibe and I'm liking that. Right now it's probably like 3.5, 4 stars. I'm liking it better than The Villa. So it's probably sitting up there with Reckless Girls, which I think I gave 4 stars. I'm about 50% of the way through. Not quite, actually. I'm not tandem reading it. I'm just listening to it on audio while I'm working today. It's like 78% into the audio, and a thought just occurred to me that I think I might know what the twist is. I'm coming to you because I finished this book and I'm rating it 4 stars. Yeah, the twist that I anticipated was not the twist at all. I think my twist would have been better, honestly. But I mean, the twist that happened, I didn't see it coming. But at the same time, I also wasn't surprised. I think I didn't see it coming because maybe it was a little too predictable. And it kind of was. And then in true Rachel Hawkins fashion, in true Rachel Hawkins fashion, the ending felt very rushed, I think. Like, I feel like Reckless Girls would have been 5 stars if the ending had been done differently. And I feel like The Villa could have been 4 stars if the ending had been done differently. Like, that ending was just a train wreck. I feel like she keeps picking the wrong endings. I don't know. On the one hand, I'm sure I'm not the only person that thinks that, and I have heard from other people that the endings of her books are not the best of all time. If there's a weak point in her books, it's usually the ending. But I mean, I'm going to keep reading her books when she comes out with more. Oh, wait, didn't she also write... Yeah, she also wrote the X-Hex under a different name that I can't think of. Aaron Sterling, I think. I haven't read those. I'm curious if like the romance side will do a little bit better. Things that I liked about this were the rich people drama. I really liked that. And I got similar vibes of being, you know, someone that's a bit of an outsider to like a rich hoity-toity community in the South. The characters I thought were pretty well done. I mean, there were a number of key characters. I mean, a lot of the other women in the community, it wasn't super easy to differentiate them from one another. Although I liked the like flashbacks to when Bea and Blanche were younger and when they kind of first met and how their friendship was, because they kind of had that dynamic of more frenemies than best friends. It was one of those weird toxic friendship type dynamics. All in all, pretty good read. Officially read all of Rachel Hawkins' thrillers, so that's good. Started the writing retreat earlier today, and I'm liking it so far. I'm about 68 pages in. And so far, it's really atmospheric. The beginning of the book takes place in, I'm pretty sure New York City. And that part is, you know, atmospherically, it's fine. But then the part I'm at now, they just got to the estate where this writing retreat is taking place. And the atmosphere is really good. There's a part where they have to like go to their rooms. How many girls are there? 5. I think there's 5. Because there's Taylor, Kira, Poppy, and then another girl, and the main character, Alex. They have to go find their rooms, all of their rooms. It's like a massive mansion. And it's kind of giving me the movie, not the books. I've not read the book, but the movie, The Haunting, with Liam Neeson, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Owen Wilson, based off of The Haunting of Hill House. That house is what I'm picturing. Walking through the halls and trying to find their way and finding their rooms and just kind of exploring. But yeah, just like the talk of like the heavy wine goblets that they're holding, the fireplaces, the plush rugs underneath their feet. It's good. It's pulling me in for sure. So far, it sounds like Alex had this friend called Ren and something happened. Not sure what yet, but it sounds bad. And they had a falling out. Ren wants nothing to do with her anymore. A series of events takes place, and Alex and this ex-friend of hers end up at this writing retreat together. That's kind of where I'm at now. Like I said, they just got there, and the author that is hosting this event, she's actually an author that Alex and quite a few of the people in her friends group really admire. They love her work. She's like one of those authors that she doesn't write very often, but like every 8 to 10 years she comes out with a banger. That's the kind of author that this woman is. And she's Hungarian, and she's like a very interesting character. They just had like their first dinner there at the estate, where this author kind of presented these girls with this challenge of, you know, they have to hit a certain word count per day, otherwise they get kicked out. And they have to present her, this first challenge, they have to present her with an outline basically of what this story is, the idea that they want to tell. She has the power to say, I like it, move forward, or I don't like it, come up with something else. I was a little worried because people were saying that it's very weird and it gives off bunny vibes, which I haven't read yet, but the weirdness was making me nervous. But so far, it's good. So I am now a little over 50% of the way in, and I'm really liking this. So for reasons that I won't go into detail on because potential spoilers, this is giving me 9 Perfect Strangers by Liane Moriarty, and I'm digging that because I really liked the vibe in that one as well. And then there's also, I heard somebody else talking about particular scenes of maybe, wow, the sun just went away. Where did it go? But yeah, there's a few scenes in here that are very like, that's always interesting, especially when it's not a romance, because I feel like the only like, not that it's like I mean, it's pretty explicit. Oh, there it is. There's the sun. The more explicit scenes like that I've ever read are in like romance novels. Like this is the spiciest scene in a non-romance book that I think I've ever read. Not including ACOTAR, but that's technically fantasy romance. And romance is not listed anywhere in the genre for this book. So at this point, everybody has their stories going and they're submitting a lot of words a day. Meanwhile, Rosa, the author who's hosting this event, she keeps dropping things on them like weird games to play or surprise party hijinks type things. It's like she's kind of like feeding the flames a little bit. I don't know what her end game is or her motivation to do all of this. If anything, she's just rich and bored and trying to see what happens. I'm here for it. I'm kind of bummed though because it's a little deeper and more detailed than the book I read yesterday while I was working. I need/want to pay closer attention. I have to keep putting it down so that I can focus on work. And this is a debut novel. I'm super stoked. I'm excited to see where this goes. Last night I finished this and the second half went a lot differently than I had anticipated. Based on how the book was going in the first half, I was anticipating a much different outcome. The first half of the book was very atmospheric. It was very mysterious. It seemed more of a horror. I guess gothic horror would be a good description for it. That's kind of the route that it was taking, and there was like a little bit of paranormal going on. But then the second half of the book, at a certain point, something happened and like a switch was flipped, and then it just transitioned into being a true thriller. It was kind of a bummer for me, honestly. Didn't really go the way that I had hoped or anticipated, but it was still really good. I did end up giving this 4.5 stars. I think it could have been 5 stars if things would have kept on with the same tone, but it just didn't. That's not a big deal. The book was still great. This was a really good book, really great story. I'm very impressed. Like I said, definitely a lot of horror themes in this as well. A little bit of paranormal, a lot of LGBTQ representation. Very like, I don't want to say girl power, but there's like 2 guys in the entire book. A majority of the cast is female. And then this morning, I started All the Perfect Things by Stacey Willingham. This is the same author that wrote A Flicker in the Dark, which I read and loved last year. I did give that one 5 stars. I'm enjoying it so far. Isabel, or Izzy, her son was stolen. He was like abducted in the middle of the night when he was a baby, and it's now been a year. His case hasn't been solved yet, and she also hasn't really slept. So she's definitely suffering from insomnia. She and her husband are not together, in hopes of keeping the case alive and open and keep people talking about it to hopefully increase the likelihood of finding her son Mason again. She does interviews for like true crime podcasts, and she did some kind of true crime show, but she was just kind of there to talk about it. You know, like I said, keep things up to date, keep everybody in the loop. We've got the now timeline, and then there's a then timeline, and starts when she's younger. And then it's talking a lot about how when she was younger, she was such a heavy sleeper. So I'm like, oh, maybe that's going to play into how her son could have possibly been abducted, because first of all, I could not imagine that. Like, that would be such an awful experience to go through. But then also, like, I wouldn't say I'm a light sleeper, but I don't think I'm a heavy sleeper either. And like, I sleep with a box fan on. I have ever since I was a baby. Just really helps drown out other sound. But even with a fan, and even being like a fairly heavy sleeper, if my kids called my name in the middle of the night or started crying, it pulls at something in your mind that just immediately like pulls you out of sleep. And then to go a year with surviving off of nothing but like little cat naps, or you know, just falling asleep at your desk for 15 minutes at a time, like, oh, I can imagine. So far this vlog is going great. I don't even know if I ever said it, but like my whole intention was to read a book a day, and it's going well. So I don't know why this just hit me like so hard. I don't even know what chapter I'm on. I don't know. I'm about 100 pages in. She met Waylon. He has a true crime podcast and they met on a plane, and he basically invited her to come talk on his podcast. That way, you know, she's speaking to a lot of people, but it's really just communicating with him. By the way, his name's Waylon, and that is like the most southern name ever. It takes place in Savannah, Georgia, and then also probably North Carolina, one of the Carolinas. I can never remember. All I hear is Carolina, and I completely black out whether it's north or south, like literally every time I hear it. She's doing this podcast with Waylon, and they're talking about the case, and you'd think that I would be crying over the fact that her baby is gone, her baby's missing. Most people presume him to be dead, but she's holding out hope that he's alive and someone just took him. You'd think I would be crying over that. No, I'm crying because she just recounted an event to Waylon. She did something to somebody that didn't deserve it. And I don't know why, but that like got me. Like, I feel so bad for the person that she did this to. I don't know why I'm so sensitive to that. Oh my gosh. So that's how my reading's going. So I'm over 200 pages in now. That's probably like 60 something %. And I don't know how I'm feeling. For a while I was kind of thinking like, I don't trust Izzy. Like, I don't trust her. But now I feel bad for her because she's got a lot of issues, a lot of baggage. And unfortunately, I don't like this as much as I liked A Flicker in the Dark. Right now, this is kind of sitting at like a probably 3.5, maybe 4, depending on how everything turns out. I think too, maybe the thing that happened earlier that made me like start bawling my eyes out, that just put a sour taste in my mouth, honestly. It was a little extreme, if you ask me. And then it was mentioned later in the book, and I just got so angry. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm hungry. I'm gonna get a snack and then head back upstairs to my desk and keep working and keep listening. I finished All the Dangerous Things, and I don't think I liked it that much. The subject matter is really difficult, especially if you're a parent. Just all the things having to do with kids. There's obviously the missing / presumed dead child. The whole like separate storyline about Isabel and her sister when they were little because something bad happened. And as the story is going along, you keep getting like scared me. I'm jumpy. As the story is going on, you're getting these flashbacks and you're starting to learn more and more about Isabel's past and what happened to her and her sister. Like I said, the subject matter was just really kind of difficult. That in and of itself isn't going to make me not like a book, because take The Push, for example, by Ashley Audrain. That's pretty tough subject matter having to do with kids, but I really liked that one. And this one, for whatever reason, just it didn't hit the same for me. Then the whole thing that happened, that when Isabel did something bad to somebody that didn't deserve it, that just really, it kind of broke my heart a little bit. It put a sour taste in my mouth for the rest of the book. I fully recognize that the book is well written. It is well planned out. Like, it has a really good plot. And I think for any standard thriller reader, it's something that you would enjoy. But yeah, for me, I don't know 100% what my reasoning is. You know, it wasn't something that I loved. I'm giving it 3.5. I mean, that's not a bad rating by any means. Nowhere near A Flicker in the Dark. It was funny, I was chatting about it with a friend on Instagram, and she's like, yeah, I don't know if I want to read it just based on the subject matter, so would you spoil it for me? And I'm like, sure. I had a little venting sesh, and I was able to spoil it. I don't know if I'm liking this. This is my first update, and I'm 235 pages in. I'm almost done. I just have like a little bit more to go. I think the audio said I have like an hour and a half, but I'm not really enjoying it. And I think it's a tone thing. This is my second Blake Crouch that I've read. I read Upgrade last fall, I think, in the fall. The subject content is a buzzword for me. It feels like it should be an action movie. It's not something that I'm really enjoying in book form. This book is about, Jason? Yeah, Jason. One night, he leaves his wife and child at home and he goes out for ice cream and he stops at a bar real quick to say hi to some friends. And on his way home, he is abducted and he's forced to drive to this warehouse. And the guy that's forcing him to do this, he doesn't know what he looks like. He doesn't know who he is. He's wearing a mask. Then he's injected with something. And the next thing he knows, he wakes up and he's like in this lab and he's got these people talking to him and welcoming him back. They clearly know who he is. He has no idea who they are. But apparently the wife and child that he knows is not part of this world that he has woken up in. Now he's got to try to figure out what happened and how to get his family back. Would it be a spoiler to say what I want to say about this? Okay, so I'm going to talk about it because this book is old. It's like from 2016. So if you haven't read this yet and you don't want to be spoiled, skip ahead. These are potential spoilers. I'm not going to like intentionally spoil anything, but the fact that it's not talked about in the synopsis kind of tells me that maybe it's meant to be as a little bit of a surprise. So earmuffs. It basically has to do with multiverses, and somehow Jason goes from being in his current universe to a parallel universe where he's not married to his wife and they don't have a kid. And normally that would be something that's really interesting to me, but you know what? I say that that's a buzzword for me, and it really is. I have yet to see it done in a way that I enjoy in a book. Because yeah, without the audio, I'd probably DNF this. I ended up working pretty late last night. I took a long lunch today, and my youngest and I went and picked up my oldest from school, and then we went to town, and I got some Starbucks, and we got some groceries. I'm done working for the day, so I'm gonna go back to reading this. Like I said, I have like an hour and a half left. I do still have my book haul video that I need to finish editing, and I was actually having a lot of fun with it yesterday. In a lot of my earlier videos that I've done, I feel like I was able to be kind of funny. And it's not like I was trying to be funny, but like when I'm editing and I'm watching the footage, I will crack myself up and then I'll try to play on that a little bit. I was pretty pleased with myself last night. It's good to make yourself laugh at yourself. I finished this. I like it a little more now than I did earlier. So earlier it was intriguing, but my experience wasn't that great. And I mean, honestly, it's a great plot. Clearly a lot of hard work and research went into this by the author, and I totally see that. The writing is pretty good. Not a fan of Blake Crouch's tone. Nothing against him. It's just a compatibility thing. Some authors, their writing style has a tone that works with you, and some authors don't. Apparently, I have really high standards for my science fiction. This would honestly make a really good movie. Maybe it is a movie already, I have no idea. It's very action-packed, it's very fast-paced. I've seen John Krasinski play roles like this. I've seen Liam Hemsworth play roles like this. Even Gerard Butler would be a great one. He might be a little bit older than what Jason is meant to be, although he does have a 15-year-old kid, so I don't know, maybe Gerard Butler would be perfect for this. It's probably something that I would enjoy, like an action-packed movie that I would go see with my boyfriend, watch once, be like, wow, that was a great movie, and never watch it again. But the ending was really good. It was very, very fast-paced, and I was on the edge of my seat a little bit. I'm like, okay, how's this gonna end? It ended really well. A little bit of an ambiguous ending, but at the same time not. Ultimately, I'm gonna do 3.5 stars for this one. I started The Soulmate by Sally Hepworth. It's my first Sally Hepworth. It wasn't today, but it was very recently that I realized that Sally Hepworth was actually from Australia, which I had absolutely no idea about before. And especially for audiobooks, I love Australian narrators. So like anytime I've listened to Leanne Moriarty, I'm in heaven. It takes place in Australia. The narrator has an accent. So I'm about 80 pages into this. There was already a twist. It took me by surprise. And it gave me chills. Like I was sitting here working, listening, and something was said, and I just like stopped what I'm doing. I'm like, what? We're following Pippa and Gabe. They are a married couple, and they, not super recently, but I think like within the last year about, moved to this house that's on a cliff in, I think, Melbourne. It sounds funny to say it without an accent, because when you say it without an accent, it doesn't sound right. But then I say it with an accent and I sound like a crazy person. Anyways, it's in Australia and it's on this cliff. And this cliff, it's a common place for people to go when they want to end their lives. Gabe, thus far, has been able to, everybody that they've come across, I think there's been like 6 or 7 people, he's been able to change their minds, to get them to step away from the ledge and get back to safety. And then one day there's this woman that does end up going over the cliff. So we've got present time of Pippa and Gabe, and they have 2 daughters. But then we also have the point of view of Pippa from the past. Apparently something happened that caused them to have to move, and it's like prior to that. But then you also get the point of view of the woman who died, which is interesting. So the point of view of a dead person. I have seen that before in books, but it's been a while and it's not common, at least in the books that I read. So yeah, I'm really intrigued. I have no idea where this is going. I'm really hoping today is not going to be as busy. Yesterday and Wednesday was like really, really busy. I'm mentally a little burnt out. Could also be because I've been reading like nonstop all week. I've been enjoying that. I'm not going to blame the reading. I'm going to blame the work. I just got hit with like a massive wave of anxiety, but also like emotion. So just bring my blood pressure down. I'm not a whole lot farther than I was before. I'm now on page 117. Still really liking this. I really like the relationships in this. So Pippa, it's really neat because her family is kind of really close-knit. When she and Gabe and their daughters moved to this new home, her sister and her sister's girlfriend or wife, I'm not sure if they're married, her sister's partner, they moved like within walking distance, as did Pippa's parents. I was just reading a scene where I can't remember if her sister was there, but her parents were there and her dad was sitting there like doing a crossword. And Gabe, I guess his parents, this part's at like the very beginning, his parents aren't around. I don't remember if they've passed away or they're just not a part of his life. Pippa's parents have kind of adopted Gabe as their son, which usually is the case, for in-laws. I feel like it's a little bit more so than usual just because of the circumstance. So it's very clear that they have a really good relationship. Really enjoying the relationships that people have in this. I'm still kind of like, I'm not sure where this is going. The twist that was revealed, it's not something that like I said, I think I mentioned this earlier, it's not something that I've really seen, I think, ever in a thriller before. Not that I'm an expert by any means in thrillers, but I mean, I've read a fair few. Very intrigued, and I'm liking this. It's about 4:30, so I have a little bit of work left, and it's Friday, so it's almost the weekend. I'm so excited. So there's just another twist. Second twist now, and I got chills with this one too. Sally. I finished the Soulmate. Also, I wasn't thinking, I just started doing laundry. If you can hear that, I'm sorry. So yes, I finished the Soulmate. I'm rating it 4 stars. Those first couple twists, that really kind of gave me some chills. I was hoping that there would be more of that. There wasn't really. I mean, there were a couple other reveals that were like, oh, okay, yeah. But I think ultimately it didn't really go in a direction that excited me. All in all, really good book, really good writing, really good pacing, and it did gradually pick up. The pace of the story kind of got faster and faster and faster as we neared the end. And I like when thrillers do that. It was a great first experience with Sally Hepworth. I will definitely be picking up more by her. I did it. I challenged myself to read a book of the month book a day for Monday through Friday this week, and I did it. And I'm exhausted. If you're not used to reading that much, I don't suggest it, and I don't think that I will be doing this again anytime soon. It does take a lot out of you mentally, especially when I'm also trying to work and take care of the kids and everything like that. As a recap of the books that I read, and I'm going to go in order of least favorite to most favorite. This is the ranking of most favorite to least favorite. In this vlog, I read Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, which I rated 3.5 stars. All the Dangerous Things by Stacey Willingham, which I also rated 3.5 stars. The Soulmate by Sally Hepworth, which I rated 4 stars. The Wife Upstairs by Rachel Hawkins, which I rated 4 stars. And The Writing Retreat by Julia Bartz, which I rated 4.5 stars. You know what? I am so proud of myself. I set a challenge and I stuck to it and I completed it. It's a great feeling. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. If you've read any of these books, let me know what your thoughts on them were in the comments down below, especially if we disagree. I love when people get a different experience from a book. And also let me know if you like this type of vlog and it is something that you want to see me do again in the future, because if nobody cares, it'll probably be a while before I do it because, like I said, exhausting. But if you really enjoyed this and you want to see me do more, I have plenty of unread Book of the Month books on my shelf to get through, so I could definitely do another one of these. Okay, I'm gonna go edit this vlog. Until next time, bye.